What's going on, everybody?
Yes. Good evening from the studio.
The studio.
Still looking for a title sponsor there. No.
That's right. That's right.
Here from I want to say live from West Tennessee, but I guess we're not live.
I know. Well, that's what hey, as the show grows, maybe we'll get to doing just a live
we
thing.
can do a live one.
We'll have a live audience maybe one day.
Well, it's always funny anytime they are done live. Like a lot of times I'm listening to it later, so I'm like, it's not live, but yeah, whatever.
It's true. They're kind of lying to you a little bit.
You got the option. Hey, we could have like an in-studio audience, so
yep.
You could be here live with us if we knew you real well.
If we could do some like Meat Eater does remote sometimes, and they'll set them up in like an auditorium. And they'll sell tickets, and people come out. Have you ever seen that?
But they're not even there.
No, they're there.
Oh, okay.
They have like a studio set up there.
I thought you meant they were like logging in remotely. I'm like, that's gay.
No, yeah, that'd be funny. It's just a big screen of them. It's like YouTube, but like large.
Yeah.
No, they'll have like a cool little spread up on the stage.
Yeah.
And they do the episode there.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would be neat. Hey, we still need some ideas for the giveaway. Because we got to do that.
Yeah. Does the winner want to come in and do, an in-studio thing with us? Go out to dinner? Yeah. Like we've done, I guess the only previous time we've ever done it, or do you just want a swag pack? Maybe get some sponsored stuff thrown in that we could send to you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What do y'all want? If you were to win, what would you want?
Yeah. What would you want? And while you're dreaming, you can go get on agzaga.com and you can find all kinds of things that you would want and that you need. I bought the commodity jugs. I got them in yesterday.
Oh, it's always fast shipping.
I got them filled. I filled one up, got it in the back of the truck. I had one of the old big stupid.
Do you feel like a renegade?
I feel like a real American now. And it's made in the USA. Made in the USA, and I mean, yeah.
You're kind of giving a little bit of a middle finger to the government.
And I've got it like kind of.
Y'all have tried to sabotage my ability to pour gasoline without spilling it all over the earth, and I have circumvented the system.
That's right, and I've got it very visible in the truck.
Yeah.
So like,
I don't think it's illegal, is it? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe it is. I hope it is.
Well, you tell them that's not gasoline in there.
Yeah, it's just vodka.
Well, if they want to check, be like, you got a warrant? Come back with a warrant. I love those doormats you see people are selling now.
What's it say?
It's like a front door mat for your house that says "Come back with a warrant."
Come back. That's good. That is good. That would be a good one to get.
Yeah,
come back with a warrant.
I need to talk to Jared about adding those to the.
Yeah.
Which I actually did talk to him today, and they do have a lot of new stuff that's about to. If you're checking their site regularly, you're going to start to notice. Which he had mentioned it when he was on here as a guest, that their product line is really going to expand.
Thongs?
I don't know that thongs did not come up in our conversation today.
Okay. That was what I had told him that they needed.
Yeah, you did. You did tell him they need to start selling man thongs, though, right? I mean,
of course.
Yeah.
That's what I like to work in. Very breathable.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go totally commando because
you got to protect the boys.
Yeah.
I've seen There's Something About Mary.
Yeah. So absolutely, but no, we were talking all kinds of stuff. Jared's a good dude, but he the bayonet wrap. I know we always hit on that one.
Yeah.
But right now, and I was not even aware of it. Well, I was aware of it because somebody wrote in last week. They got the American flag.
Yep.
So when you buy the American flag net wrap, they are going to send you, of course, your net wrap, but also an American flag, like an actual American flag. You can fly out in your front yard or in the yard at your shop. Maybe you're a BTO and you got a flagpole outside.
Maybe you're one of the guys that rides it around in the back of his truck.
Yeah, but it's a made in the USA flag.
That's right.
Because what is dumber than an American flag not
made in China?
So that's just kind of a bonus that comes along with the American flag net wrap. They've got all kinds of other deals going on. If you do the bulk, you get the bulk discount. You can always get the 10% discount using the Talk Dirt discount code.
All caps, all one word.
That's right. But yeah, check them out. The commodity jugs. I mean, all the Flexzilla hoses, the Therapies for the cattle. You name it.
Just get on there and look it up.
I guarantee if you get on there and look around, maybe you need some net wrap. If you scroll around for 30 seconds, you're going to find something else. You're going to put that shopping cart.
Yep. What are you drinking on tonight?
Single barrel Dickel.
Okay.
I went back to my Tennessee roots.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
So I think it's rated like 105 proof.
Is that a blue or label or white label?
Now I typically go for the white label Dickel but this is a single barrel, so I guess it's
I know I had gotten Dad some, and it was kind of the higher end, and it was blue label.
It might have been a blue label. It was a dark label. It was not the.
Was it a short bottle?
Oh yeah. It was like a.
I bet you it's blue.
Because like normally when I buy like the handle of Dickel, like they got the black label and white label, I always go for the white. But
yeah,
I hadn't just bought a bunch of Dickel lately.
Man, I hadn't bought any bourbon in a long time. Really, I'm sipping Eagle Rare again.
Well, I bought a bottle when we were duck hunting in Arkansas, just because I forgot to take any with me.
Yeah,
I didn't need any. It wasn't like I was out. I had plenty at home, but not with me.
Well, I gotta give a shout out.
I basically sip bourbon once a week.
Well, I sip it when we record here, and then usually either Friday or Saturday night I have another glass. Yeah. And then every other night, and then the rest of the nights of the week I have a glass. No, I'm just kidding. But
I drink beer the other nights.
Yeah, man,
I've told a story about how my kids, they see me pouring a bourbon. They're like, "Are you doing a podcast tonight?"
Yes.
Like every now and then, I'm just pouring one to have at home. I'm like, no.
Yeah, man, I drank wine the other night.
You know, I'll drink wine once or twice a week. Like my wife's cooking supper, and she's usually sipping on a
19 Crimes is pretty good. Have you had it?
Yeah, I think I have.
They got one that's finished in rum barrels. That's good.
What kind? What varietal?
Shit, I don't know. It's a red wine, but I don't know.
Cabernet or Merlot?
I don't know. I didn't get that gay about it. I don't know. I just drank it.
Oh man,
I don't know. It said 19 Crimes.
You're gonna have a vineyard one day.
I know. When I get to that point, I was like, I told Marcy, I said, we got the area here. We could grow and we could have whiskey, a whiskey distillery. The only thing that's nice about a vineyard and a winery type thing is it's a lot cheaper to do than. If you were to put in like a whiskey distillery, I think it costs like $1 million or something.
Jesus.
When all is said and done, yeah, like.
You can surely do it cheaper than that because people used to do it like literally.
Oh, no. I mean, to do it legally.
Okay, well, let's just do it.
Yeah, well.
I mean, how much does it cost to just do it? Like $200.
Oh, man. I can tell you, we can do that easy.
Yeah, I was about to say, old boys used to have these like.
Did I ever share the story about getting some locally?
I don't guess so.
Well, they've moved.
I know there's definitely people around because
they moved, so I'm going to share this story. I don't know where those guys are now.
Well, you don't have to mention names.
No, I don't even know their names, so that makes it real easy. But they used to live over just right down here, and they were doing some backhoe work behind their house. And apparently, I mean, I don't know why this guy was doing what he was doing, but it was like a vertical hill that he was trying to clear with this backhoe, and it slid off down the hill. And Dad called me one day and he said, "Hey," he was like, "come out here." This was over the winter, so we weren't doing a whole lot. And he's like, "Hey, come out here. I need you to go with me. We got to go pull a guy's backhoe out." He said, "We'll just drive a tractor down the road." And so I took our big barge cable that we got, put it on my service truck, and we ran down the road. And Dad drove the tractor, backed in there, and I mean, we hooked on. We had to hook the barge cable to this big strap because the dude was, I mean, it was a steep way down there. And we pulled him out, and I mean, you could smell alcohol like crazy. I mean, I just assumed that these guys were all super drunk. I was like, these guys are...
Was it like late in the afternoon?
No, it was like 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. Well, late enough to be drinking.
yeah, I guess. So I was like, man, these dudes are just lit. And we got them pulled out, and the guy was like, well, let me pay you. And Dad was like, no, I don't want you to pay me. And he said, come on, man, you got to let me pay you. You drove tractor down here. And Dad's like, no, I don't want you to pay me. So Dad came back, and later that afternoon, it was probably 5, 6 o'clock, we were out here at the birdhouse, and a truck pulls in. I didn't know who the guy was or who was pulling in. And then we see him get out, and it was the dude and his son. They come in, and me and Dad are in there, and he's like, hey, you wouldn't let me pay you. He said, so I brought y'all something else. I assume both of you enjoy the joy to do a little drinking. And we were like, yeah. And he had 2 jars of moonshine. And he was like, this is just straight corn liquor. He's like, it's not flavored. He said, I got a batch of Welch's grape going right now, which sounds pretty dang good. But he said, this is just straight up moonshine. So he's like, there you go. And he said it was like 120, 130 proof or something. And I was like, all right, man. So we thanked him, whatever. He left. I mean, yeah, it smelled like moonshine, looked like moonshine. So that night, I was like, well, I'm gonna drink some. And I was like, I'm gonna just pour it because I don't care to get drunk. So like, I'm just gonna pour it over ice. But I had read if you drink bad moonshine, it can make you go blind.
Yeah, that's always the whole wives' tale anyway.
Yeah, so I poured some in a spoon and lit it on fire because they say if it burns yellow, then it contains lead and that's what'll get you. And it burned the prettiest blue flame I'd ever seen. And so if it burns blue, it's like perfect moonshine. Man, I poured me a glass. I sipped it. It was good, and I was almost drunk off. Like it was stout. It was stouter than 120. But I thought that was pretty cool. We went to Gatlinburg. I'll wrap this up, but we went to Gatlinburg several years ago, and I bought a book, and it said for educational purposes only on there. It is a complete guide from start to finish with recipes included of how to make moonshine. It has how to make moonshine, brandy, vodka. And I mean, it has full detailed recipes in the back. But it's funny because at the beginning, it's just like educational purposes only. Like, got to cover their tail.
Like you'll read this just to satisfy your curiosity.
It tells you how to build a steel. Like it has everything in there.
Yeah.
For educational purposes only. I've never done that.
Yep.
But I would love to. I mean, I feel like making whiskey is just I almost feel like that's like one of the most American things you could do, especially if you did it illegally.
But, just because I was just leaving the house after helping my kid do some homework, if they taught that in school, it'd be more useful than some of the stuff they teach.
How to make alcohol?
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. You think about if the grid went down and we lost, like, our fuel pumps couldn't pump gasoline, man, you could brew you up some stuff.
Man, I'm a doctor. Not bragging, just I am.
Yeah.
Like, I was really good at math. My daughter's doing 4th grade math, and I'm like, babe, I have no clue. I have no clue what that question is even asking. Like,
and what is it doing in the 4th grade?
It's
what
like
kind of questions?
Know, like, how many polygons fit in this? And I'm
gosh.
I'm like, darling, you have my permission to tell your teacher that whenever you're done taking the test for that, you'll never need to know it again the rest of your life.
No.
Like, I use math nonstop every day. Do it on my top. I mean, everybody, you can't drive down the road without using math.
Yeah.
But, like, and I don't do, like, crazy, like, ridiculous equations, but, like, do math in my head. Like, math was always my thing. I was like, I don't know how to do that.
Math was your thing?
I was math. I was good at math. Vet school, what keeps most people out of vet, a lot of people get hung up on the physics. Physics, physics was easy. I'd have taken upper level physics and swap that out for some of the chemistries that I barely passed.
Neither of those sound very fun. Math ate my lunch.
Organic chemistry and biochemistry.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I had to repeat a couple of those.
Honestly, history and science. Well, I take that back. Science sometimes, but English was actually one of mine I was pretty good at.
I hated English.
Not grammar. Now, I wasn't good at the grammar because I just didn't
hated all of it. I hated literature. I hated the grammar. But it's funny enough, like nowadays, because everything's like online, and you see, I will dismiss somebody as being a dumbass for poor grammar faster than anything.
Yeah. I'm trying to use it.
Like if somebody just flat out can't use the proper
two or two,
there.
Man, those are some that get me. Yeah.
Then and then, I'm like, those aren't even. And I'm just like, I'm sorry.
I'll even go.
There are some people out there that I realize, like, no, this is actually a smart person. They just apparently did not have a good grammar teacher in school. But for the most part, or like just won't use a comma, and I'm just like, See, and I'll skimp sometimes on a comma, but two and there, I'm gonna like.
I usually concentrate pretty good.
That's one reason I don't get on Facebook anymore, because it'd be like people I really respect, like I'm friends with, and then I'd be like, oh my God, like
there's not a period in this paragraph.
I want to like text me like, dude, delete that and retype it out. Yeah, I'm not quite that OCD about it.
Well, I liked English for the creative writing aspect.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that. I nerded out on it. All right.
Only slightly gay.
Yeah, only slightly. Yeah, only a little bit. All right. We got some people that wrote in real quick.
Well, hey, you're planting beans today? Just a farm update. Yeah.
Yeah, I planted. Yesterday I planted 160 tomatoes.
I saw that on Instagram. Yeah.
That was the coolest thing I've ever done.
The video looked really cool.
We laid the plastic. I'd used the plastic layer last year. We laid the plastic, and so the beds were perfect. Marcy sat on the back of it. We got this water wheel transplanter. I've been like itching to use this thing, and we had around 160 tomato plants. And I said, let's try it out. And so we got it. I mean, it was very simple, and you just let her down, and that wheel runs over the plastic, and it's got spikes. I got them 31 inches apart. That spike goes and it punches a hole in there. Well, when it goes down in there, it's open inside the spike. So there's 2 tanks up there, and they're pouring water into the wheel. When the spike goes down, water comes out and goes all in the hole. And you stick the plant in there, and then you don't have to water the plant in. Like, you just literally stick the plant down in there.
How do you water it throughout the year?
Most guys run a drip tape. I didn't run drip tape, but I've got access there. I can put irrigation. That'll be next year. I'm going to add drip tape to the mix. So hopefully it just don't get, which I will say the plastic a lot of times keeps it pretty dadgum moist in there.
Yeah.
Like my pumpkins, when I had them in the plastic, they didn't lack for water hardly ever.
Yeah.
But we planted them, and then I planted like 40 acres of beans that day as well. And I mean, we planted 160 tomatoes in like 30 minutes or less. And then today I planted about 105 acres today. And I was going to keep planting. I was actually just going to do the podcast dirty. I was like, I'll just come in and jump on the podcast. But I ran out of beans, so I called it a night. Ran out with 7 acres to go. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. I'm just chipping away at it. Chipping away. Deal. So, all right. We got a pretty, we've shared the topic, the Tractorcade. We're going to get into that tonight. Got a couple emails that I want to get into because we don't want to leave these guys hanging forever. So here we go. Travis writes in, reach out to Wes Pandy, aka One Lonely Farmer, on YouTube for a guest. So got a guest recommendation.
Yeah.
Have you heard of them, One Lonely Farmer?
I have not.
Okay, well, check them out. There you go. Guys, I did have somebody recommend the McBees, one of the McBee folks.
I don't know who that is.
I've seen them on Instagram. I think they're like huge farmers. They got a TV show or something.
Okay.
The McBee Dynasty or something. And one of the guys follows us, so I'll try to reach out to them, and I'll check out this One Lonely Farmer. I haven't heard of that. Appreciate that, Travis. All right, Jim writes in, I enjoy watching your YouTube channels and listening to your podcast. I live walking distance to Jones Orchard in Millington. A local guy. He said, the owners are great people. Would love to see them on your podcast. All right, more recommendations. That'd be cool. I don't know who. I know old man Jones, he's probably, I think his kids or something now are running it.
Yeah, I've shopped there before, but I don't personally know any of them.
I don't either. Okay, that was it. That dude, he sent it twice. Jim, we appreciate it. So we had 2 recommendations. So Jones Orchard folks and One Lonely Farmer. So we'll check them out. I have again, any recommendations you have of guests.
Yeah,
we're open.
We're always trying to keep some guests in the works. The kind of goal in mind, every other one of the guests, which obviously now it's 2 in a row without a guest. So,
yeah.
You never know. We may have 2 guest episodes.
You just get surprised. You don't ever know.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, wait a minute. I did want to get into that one topic real quick.
All right.
So we got an interesting topic before we get into the Tractorcade. This is something, I've had the conversation. Well, I mean, me and my wife had this conversation, and we had to walk through this. we get asked a lot of times about, all right, I want to become a farmer. You know, what do I need to do to become a row crop farmer, become a cattleman, and all this? And everybody typically is thinking about, all right, how do I get land? How do I get financing? How do I get the know-how and all that? But I feel like one of the large aspects that's overlooked is your spouse and or partner or whatever. I feel like that's something that you just kind of expect them to go along.
Yep.
And I don't think people quite grasp the amount of time that they're about to dedicate to this thing.
Yeah, and I would even say, because I know people even outside of ag, but that just own their own business, and you know, when you're self-employed, like you're never off.
Yeah.
Like and some people are really good about, you know, having defined work hours, and they totally shut it off. And I've gotten better in my 15 years as a vet of, like, when I leave the office, I don't mentally stay in that mode. I try to. My rule is I'm not thinking about it again until I'm driving in the next morning.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, as much as you can. But yeah, especially with farming, not only is it always on your mind, but like tonight, you were going to plant until you ran out of beans.
Yeah.
And had you not run out of beans, and had we not had a podcast, I mean,
Still be running.
yeah, you would have run till when?
Oh shit! I don't know. I ran till 11:30 one night.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, and some people might think, well, that's crazy, you know, a 14, 15-hour day. Yeah, I mean, the weather's right. It's going to rain, tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be forced into some downtime then, in which case you'll probably be making parts runs and fixing everything.
I got a hose that's leaking.
Yeah, all the things that you kind of put on the back burner while conditions were good.
Yeah. Well, you know, I remember, it's funny for me to think back, because I had not thought about this, because Marcy and I have been married. We've been married for 9 years. And when we got married, we got married in January, and I bought our first farm in April. And I left the machine shop around that same time. So she's been pretty much, since we've been married, I've been a farmer. When we dated, I was a machinist for the most part, and I had very fixed hours and, you know, a lot of overtime sometimes, but for the most part, fixed hours, home, pretty good time every night. And I'll never forget the first probably 2 years. They were tough. Never to the point like Marcy and I were like, oh, I don't think our marriage is going to make it. It never got anything like that. But there was a lot of like frustrations in the first couple of years of really her kind of wrestling with one. I mean, dude, when it's planting time and when it's harvest time, I'm married to the field. Like, that's just what I am. Yeah. And I had this conversation with a buddy that he's in the military, and that's what we were kind of comparing it in a way almost to a deployment. But like, because when you're deployed, you're married to that. That's what you're there. And kind of when you're in planting time or when you're in harvest time, that's kind of like a farmer's deployment, like their little miniature deployment. Because dude, you just got to get in there, and you could go home. Like I could say, I'm not going to work past 5 o'clock every day and go home. And it'd take me 2 months to get done.
Yeah. I mean,
like planting.
We all struggle with it. And I know, like, because I'll see guys like on social media, they'll have a picture of Planter Park. It's like, hey, quit early today because, you know, my daughter had a dance recital or a ball game, and like, she's not going to care if I got another 40 acres planted today. She'll never remember that, but she'll remember that I was at that. I'm like, well, yeah, for stuff like that, absolutely. But man, yeah, it is a struggle. I know that's one thing. Like my wife and I, you know, are having a air quotes discussion, which pretty much means I'm sitting there and she's chewing my ass out.
Let her tell you how you're doing wrong.
Yeah, it's like you're just never home, like you're never here. And I'm like, you know, I don't aim for that, but it is tough, you know. And then, you know, it might rain all day on a Sunday, and so she's probably tired of me. I'm just sitting around the house.
We should go do something. Yeah.
But it's, you know, I think that is something. Yep, you need to keep in mind. And even like I had a friend that his wife, he farmed on the side, which I think in some ways can almost make it tougher because he had a regular job.
Yeah.
And then he was a weekend warrior, and his wife actually grew up in a farming family.
Okay.
Like that was their primary source of income.
Yeah.
But she would give him just grief. I was like, man, like she should know.
Yeah.
And of course he pointed out, he's like, well, he's like, because that's all her dad did. You know, he didn't have another job. I think that made a difference because, you know, like during the wintertime and stuff, you know, he could
chill out.
Yeah, like he could do all kinds of stuff with them. Where he's like, you know, I've still got my regular 9 to 5, you know.
Yeah, so he doesn't have that just more
52
downtime.
weeks out of the year. So even when the farm's not pulling me away, I've still got just a regular life job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big deal. And you know, I guess, you know, this will sound, you know, maybe sexist, some people out there, but of course, typically we're talking about the dudes, and then the wife is at home. Because no, that's traditional. That's the way it almost always is. Not always, but I say it all the time, especially like on YouTube, because some people say like, we don't see your wife out on the farm. Like, because we can't both be out there a lot of times. Like, and our kids are getting older now where they can be out with us, but the only way I can farm is because she is holding down the fort. Like she's got 2 kids that she's keeping fed and alive, you know, from burning down the house, shuttled to school events and ball practice because, when I get off my regular job, some weekdays I'm getting on a tractor to cut hay, or I'm going and checking cows. I'm spend all weekend running around, you know, with zero downtime. And I don't know, sometimes I was kind of having that moment this past weekend. I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing all this, you know? Just because, you're just, like, here it is on a Sunday, and I'm running myself ragged, like exhausted. And, ought to not really make any money.
Yeah. Well, that, you know, I mean, that was the conversation that I had with myself last year, just because I had a terrible year. You know, I shared it, and it's like, man, I put a whole year into that and didn't really have much to show for it. And so that's where it's,
you could have been going to the machine shop making 6 figures.
Yeah, guaranteed pay, and, you know, the low, you know, no stress, because I mean, there's not that uncertainty aspect, and that's always been my thing, man. With me on row crop, and Marcy's great. Like, I gotta commend her. She has come into this great. Like, again, the first couple years were tough because she did not grow up in a farm family, and so when she came to with me, I mean, you know, she's stepping into a new world, and again, I was gone a lot, and the more stuff I'm taking on now, the more I'm only just gone more. Now, there's ways that I think a guy can kind of mitigate these. Like, there's several times if I'm going to plan, if I know, like, all right, I'm going to run till 11, 12 o'clock tonight, I'll go in at about 7 o'clock, and I'll just eat dinner with them, and then I go back to the field. Like, that's one of the big perks that I tell everybody with farming is, like, the fact that you can, like, mesh your family in. Like if I'm running really hard and I've been running a long time, like say during harvest or something, and Marcy and the kids will come, and they'll come and hang out and ride in the combine. Yeah. I mean, our back harvest last year, or year before, man, it was supposed to rain coming up soon, and me and her were trying to do a date night like once a week. And so one night, it's like, let's go on a date night. We had planned this, and we had planned it. Well, the rain's coming in, and I needed to get some beans cut really bad, but we had already planned this. So I was like, all right. So I ran and I shut the combine down, and me and her were like going to go on this date. And I mean, she could just tell, like, I was doing my best to be present, but I was stressing about the fact that I wasn't cutting these beans and this rain is coming. And so she's like, why don't we just get some takeout? We got us some round 2 burgers. She's like, why don't we just get some burgers and we'll just go jump in the combine and you can cut beans, and that'll just be our date night. I'll ride with you. We'll eat in the combine, hang out. So that's what we did. And it was a great date night. Like, we had a great time. And I mean, I would encourage you, if this is something that you're wanting to get into, you need to have a conversation, because it consumes you. I mean, it becomes your life, like farming just does. Like, you're a vet, but very much you're a cattleman. Like, it consumes you very much. Like, I would venture to say, while you're at work, there's parts that you're definitely thinking about the cattle side and the stresses of that. And I'm saying, like, if we go out of town at this point, I'm generally like, I'm still more of, man, I got to get this done. I need to get that done. And so there is, I don't know. I think that if you want to get into farming full time or even a moderately good amount of time, you need to have this conversation with your significant other, because it's gonna come up whether you plan. I mean, I'd almost encourage you to kind of plan ahead than all of a sudden it blow up.
Yeah. I don't know, it's tough, and my wife is very understanding, but still, it's like, especially once you throw kids into the mix.
Yep.
Because it wasn't like,
well, they're left at home with the kids all the time, and because that's how if Marcy didn't, she takes them to school when she's off work. She works 2 days a week as a nurse, and like the 2 days she works, I'm like stressed out because I'm trying to get them to school. So I'm like, man, if she didn't take them to school, I wouldn't be able to roll like I've said it on some of my YouTube videos and stuff, like, you need I believe, to be like a good farmer or really just a successful person, you need a good, strong spouse.
Oh, yeah. It definitely applies to farming, but it can apply to just about any career.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So there's our little rant.
And it's definitely not a lifestyle for everybody.
No.
It's not.
Well, that's what I guess that's what I was going to, when I was telling Marcy about it, like me and her were kind of talking about back in the day. I was like, okay, whenever I started, and she's like, honestly, you just got to get over it. She's like, if you're going to be married to a farmer, you just got to get over it.
Well, and that's, I kind of say it joking to like newlywed, dudes, but it's not entirely joking. I'm like, here in these early years of marriage, or even when you're dating before you get married, you need to set the precedent. Don't set the bar too high. You see some of these folks, and maybe they're just a whole lot better husband than I am, but they're like, that they're never, away
apart
from the wife for anything. Like, and I'm like, oh, buddy, like those first couple of years, like you're setting the bar so dang high where there's no way you'll ever live up to the standard you're setting for yourself.
Yeah.
So go ahead and be a crappy husband from the beginning, and that way you get 8-10 years into it, they're gonna think, oh yeah,
this guy's really doing something.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think as Homer Simpson says, like, if you never set goals, then you're never disappointed.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I.
But no, that is actually.
But yeah, you have to, like, don't like set an unrealistic expectation of like, oh yeah, I'm always going to be home at the dinner table at 6 p.m.
Yeah, man, I tell you
and
what.
Then all of a sudden, like, reality is like, all right, I can't always do this. And then, they have an expectation of you that you can't live up to.
Yes, especially in the farming world, because, like, let's say, for on the row crop side, there has been many a time where I know rain is coming, and so, by God, we're just going to hammer the hell out of it, like as hard as we can, whether that's planting or harvesting. And so, I mean, my wife just knows. I mean, tonight, I talked to him earlier today. She brought me lunch as planting. She brought me lunch, chatted with her for a little bit, ate my lunch, went back to running, and she'll like periodically just text me or call me, just check in, but she's not like looking at her watch at 7 when I'm not home at 7:30 and saying like, where are you? I mean, she just knows. So she's like pleasantly surprised this time of year when I roll in at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Does she have a little thing on her phone where she can like see your location?
No, I don't let anybody see my location.
See, I'm pretty sure I don't either, but I just realized the other day, I was like, my wife has that. You know what? I actually really like it because, like, she's traveling a bunch, and I'm like, because normally I'd be like, call her, like, hey, where are
Does
you?
it show on the text? How does this
Well,
work?
I just when I go to her, like it shows me, like if it ever loads up. Yeah, she's
There
at
you
the
go.
house.
She's at the
Well, like
house.
tonight, her and my daughter were at softball practice. And,
Yeah.
my son and I were at home. I guess I was taking on that role. But I was
There you
cooking
go.
supper, and I was like, they should be on their way home by now. I was like, I could call her or text her, but I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk to people, which drives her crazy 'cause she's an extrovert.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, actually, I don't even have to text her. I just looked. I was like, oh hell yeah, they're turning on the road.
There you go.
Like I'll be sure supper's heated up for them.
She is an extrovert. Man, I ran
God, she's an extrovert.
at the Farm and Chin show.
She, thank God, cell phones you don't have to pay by the minute. If you did, I wouldn't be able to afford to have cows.
Yeah.
I'd be working a second shift at the emergency.
I can't say
center.
nothing. I'm on the phone all the time.
Which she works from home now, but used to it would drive me a little bit crazy. She would get home from work, and she'd have like a 45-minute, hour drive, and I know good and well she was on the phone the whole way home. She'd get home, and it might be 45 minutes or an hour before she hung the phone up.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, and most of this before we had kids.
Yeah.
But like she'd get home and like just, and I'm like,
You're like,
and
hey,
I'm
how
kind
you
of an
doing?
introvert, so I'm not like wanting to do a ton of talking and interacting, but like, just like, whoa, hey,
Like, hey, I'm here.
like,
I am alive.
you want me to start supper? What are we doing? That's one of those deals where, and whoever she's talking to, 'cause, you know, for the first time she'd be like, all right, well, I'm gonna get off of here. And then like 30 minutes later, all right, well, I'm gonna get off of here.
Yeah.
Oh God, I mean,
Yeah.
she'll be a great experiment if you know the whole thing where you can get a tumor and you're from talking.
Oh,
on the
from
phone.
talking on the phone?
Yeah, if she doesn't have one by now, you ain't getting one.
Yeah. Man, I'm on the phone all the time. That's what Marcy gives me crap, because Marcy doesn't really want to talk on the phone. I'm on the phone all day. People call and talk to a dude today from Nebraska. It's kind of cool.
So, yeah, you're the Kaylin in y'all's relationship.
Yeah,
and
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
When I ran into her at the gin show, I mean, I see Kaylin from time to time, so it's not like we're like catching up. But we stood there and talked for probably 30 minutes.
she'll call me and it's like to tell me something like important. I'm like, all right, we'll get that done. And like, I'm at the office, like I've got patients to see, and like, I can't be just a total dick and just be like,
I do the same thing to you, I feel like.
But I'm just like, Kaylin, and finally I'm just like, I've got to get off the phone. Like you're talking about nothing. Like you're just blabbing.
Well, I feel like I stay on topic when I call.
Yeah.
I'm generally
When
topic.
you call me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't ever.
And say I'm like pretty topic driven.
Yeah, like we'll discuss, and then she'll just be like, well, like just like she's just trying to think of
It's
something
like
else
there's
to
a
talk about.
cloud that looks like a wiener in the sky right
She's
now.
just trying to think of something else to talk about. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Like we covered the topic. We need.
I'll
to
see you
cover.
later.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's not like I'm just driving down the road with nothing to do. And I know sometimes that is the situation she's in, but it's like, babe, I've got to get off here and do something. It's like when you're on the farm, you're always like underneath a tractor, like
Your hands are greasy, and then the phone rings.
and you're like, yeah. Anyway, enough ranting about my wife.
There's your spousal stuff. Just think about it, guys. When you want to be
Actually, if you want to be a farmer, don't get married.
well, I was gonna say almost the ends that I see, like you can tell farming consumes you, because I know a handful of guys that are farmers that have like basically never even dated anybody because
Yeah.
they're just so.
Hell, that's why there's a TV show called Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, and I know, like I've seen one guy, I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he's like probably in his 40s, and he like wants nothing more than to be married and have kids, but he's basically he has been so obsessed with farming that it's just not left any opening there. So I love farming, but I love another thing too, so I made sure I had that in my life as well.
Yeah.
All
right, we got to get to the Tractorcade because we totally missed it last week and we're 40 minutes in tonight almost.
Yeah. All right. So, the Tractorcade. So,
it was in 1979.
Yep, 1979. I mentioned it. I was telling Dad and them about it, and he said he remembered it, which he would have been 19 years old.
Yeah, I was about to say your dad because he's 5 years older than my dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to ask my dad about it.
My dad's 5 years younger. You said older. Yeah. Your dad would probably. He would have been. Would he have been in college or out of college?
My dad would have been in vet school.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's what Dad was saying. He remembered it. My mom did not remember it, But it started, in 1979. I've got some, here it is, my statistics.
Which I'll go back even a year further. Because if you read that same article, did you read the one about the McAllen, Texas bridge protest?
No.
So the year before, and both these articles that I read, and I see the one you got pulled up, was written by
Our
Chris
boy,
Brennan,
Chris.
in which he's incredible. So you need to just go to AgWeb, or you can even just, if you search AgWeb,
Tractorcade
or AgWeb McAllen Bridge protest, it'll come up. But it was the same issues, which a lot of it was prices were terrible, and there was all these imports coming in that were pushing down prices even more.
Yeah.
And there was a big deal with, and we kind of mentioned it talking like with Corbett about country of origin labeling. There was none of that. And so, and even on vegetables, which now I think, and I may be wrong because I'm not in the produce world, but I believe there is mandatory country of origin labeling for fruits and vegetables, that sort of thing. I know when you go to the grocery store, you can, everything has a sticker on it.
Product of chili.
Yep. And so a group of farmers, they went down to the border at McAllen, Texas. Gonna have a protest. I'll try to make it fast. The mayor there, who happened to also be a farmer, but who farmed on both sides of the border, gave them permission.
So he didn't want that.
Right, but he gave them permission to protest. They were supposed to be able to like block the bridge for a few hours, make their point, draw some media attention, yada yada. They said they get there and they can immediately tell like something was up. Like there were like police, state police, like riot police everywhere.
Oh wow!
And none of them had any name tags on or anything. They're like, all right, something's up. So they get out there on the bridge. They're allowed to stop this truck, but it was almost kind of like all organized.
Yeah.
They even gave the driver a little bit of cash, for his time, for the trouble they had created. But then they said, like, immediately, like, within just a minute or two, like, a wrecker starts pulling up.
Like hauling the tractors or whatever?
It was like, move the truck that they had stopped.
Yeah.
And, like, they were like, they were going to put an end to it right away. Like, it was almost like a setup. And, but one of the guys, and I forget all their names, he had actually said he left his pocket knife on the nightstand at their hotel because they weren't from the border. They were from, they may have even been from out of state. But so he borrowed a pocket knife from a guy and cut the airlines on the truck.
Oh, nice.
He breaks. He was like, no. And then he said he tried to give the knife back to that guy, and the guy was like, oh, it's yours now. But the wrecker never even knew it. Like he hooks up, tries to like snatch it, like pulls the wrecker like off the ground, like rips the rear end out from under it, whatever. Like, so then it turns into an even bigger mess. The police, like, and they said I believe there was 250 of them. Said like some people couldn't even hear what the police were demanding.
Yeah.
Tear gas was fired.
Jeez.
Several of them ended up in the hospital. Like they're beating them with
Billy clubs.
Yeah. And so they arrested about 200 of them. Had buses there already waiting to arrest them.
Yeah.
So like it was a setup. Like they already knew. Hauled them to the local jail. Booked them. They didn't have anywhere for them to stay. A lot of them had to sleep like out in the prison yard. It was raining and cold. But they said it was actually a blessing for the rain because it washed the tear gas away.
Yeah.
But by then word got out and all hell kind of started to break loose because people from as far away as Georgia came in to protest. They were like marching around the jail demanding to let them go because they wouldn't admit. They kind of said like, all right, if y'all, sign, admitting guilt or whatever, we'll let you out. They're like, oh, hell no, we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And they almost had a killdozer moment. They had a huge, like, four-wheel drive John Deere tractor with a blade on it, and they were like, "You've got until day 3 to let them out with no charges, or we're bulldozing this place down." And
that is awesome.
Long story short, they finally let them out. Like they agreed, like, "All right, we'll let y'all out if everybody will stand down." Didn't charge them with anything, and they'll let them go back to the bridge and protest. It was so damn poetic. When they got back to the bridge to protest, the first truck coming across that they stopped was carrying onions. And it was the mayor's truck, had his farm name on it and everything. And it said, wherever Texas, product of USA or whatever. And it was him hauling in his onions from his farm.
Oh, he was hauling it.
Well, he wasn't driving.
Oh, gotcha.
But it was one of his trucks. But they're like, it couldn't be any more perfect in highlighting what we're protesting. They're literally bringing these onions in, importing them, but marketing them as a product of USA.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty much like, this is, we'll quit now. We made our point. Like this is it. But it was, but some of those same guys, if you read, the man that he talked about in that article that drove the John Deere G from the Texas Panhandle, he was credited as driving the farthest in an open station tractor. It was in February.
It was 1,800 miles.
Yeah, drove an open station. He modified the governor on the tractor because the tractor was originally designed to only run about 12 miles an hour.
Yeah, he was covering around 86 miles a day. It took him 21 days.
Because it was very well organized, but they had planned it out where they knew exactly when they would all get there, but that was averaging 20 miles an hour. He's like, this thing won't do but 12.
Jeez, good gosh. Could you imagine driving? That's what,
can't imagine driving an open station tractor anywhere.
Yeah, man. And 1,800 miles.
No, I've driven open station tractor plenty in my life, but
that shows how mad these dudes were, though.
Yeah,
they
were going broke. Like prices were so terrible.
Well,
they were watching people left and right go under.
I got a comparison here of the interest rate now and then, and the inflation rate.
What makes this kind of currently relevant is that we're
trending that direction. So, it's when you hear the numbers, you're like, wow, we're a lot better than they were, but we've been trending in a dangerous path. So in the inflation rate in 2024 right now, they've got it listed as at 3.5%, which just seems strangely low to me.
Yeah, well, we know we don't trust the government, and that they say there's three types of lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yep. Well, there you go. Well, because I'm like, no way that this is but that's what they claim 2024's inflation rate is. In 1979, it was 11.3%. But the interest rate was, right now, we're showing about 7.22% interest rate. In 1979, and I wrote 3 dates here because one of them was very significant. In 1979, it was 11.2% interest. 81, which the early 80s time frame is when all the farmers went broke.
That's what you always hear people referencing,
The 80s, man, 1980, 1981. And it was the average statistic in 80 or interest rate in 81 was 16%.
Yeah.
And I have a really good friend. He's an older guy. He used to farm. And he was telling me, because we were talking about this past year, and I was just telling him, like, man, I had a terrible year. And he said, man, I had 2 terrible years in a row back in like 1980 and 81 or something. And he said, so bad that I couldn't get financed the second year. And he said, but I had to get money to put in the crops so that I could try to pull myself out of the hole. He said, I was maxing out credit cards. He said he was paying 27% interest on some stuff just to get funding to put the crops in. And he pulled himself out of the hole. Like, he managed to survive.
It's a miracle.
It is. But that's the comparison. Today, interest rate 7.2, 79 is 11.2%. And I specifically wrote down this guy. Yeah, they did this in the month of February. So this dude drove 21 days. It was 5,000 tractors, which is pretty darn cool.
They were picking up more all along the way.
Yep. Yeah.
But it was they would drive all day. They would stop. They would like sleep in campers. And pretty much everywhere they would go, it was becoming such a big story. Like the local folks would, bring them food, and help keep them fed. Because these dudes, they were going broke farming. Like they didn't have a lot of money to fund this whole process. Yeah. People give them some money for fuel and things like that. But I also thought it was funny, like, again, we're pretty anti-government here, but the feds, they said by the time they made it to Tennessee, the feds, the black helicopters were following them.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing, which of course it's so funny because it's all the same shit happening today. Once they were organized and having like their protest, the feds that were trying to infiltrate them
Oh, yeah.
They're
Yep,
they
yep.
were so easy to spot. They'd be out there like in their brand new overalls and their John Deere hat. But then they'd have on like their
Black shoes
their
or something.
dress shoes.
Yeah.
It's like these dudes, like they stick out like a sore thumb. You see the same ones online.
The ATF guy, AFT guys creeping out of the bushes.
Or supposedly like at the
At the parties and they're
or they're like, there's gonna be a white nationalist rally, in Washington D.C. to support Trump, and it's nothing but a bunch of feds pretending to be white nationalists.
Yes.
It's like there's not a single person here that's actually a white nationalist. They're all just feds.
well,
I guess difference there was 5,000 farmers, but
well, the interesting thing too, though, Jimmy Carter was president at the time.
Yeah.
He's a farmer, or he came from farming, and so they kind of, I think they expected a little. I think that fueled a little bit of the rage, is that they kind of felt a little betrayed.
he turned his back on them.
Yeah, it's like, man, this dude, he is supposedly in the farming world, knows what it's like, and he's kind of turning his back to us. So it was a lot of angry stuff here, and that's
Which the one thing that kind of turned the tide for them, because the public didn't really know what to think.
yeah,
Especially like then in there and around DC, and a lot of people were pissed off because they were, blocking traffic every day. But then snowstorm hit, dumped nearly 2 feet of snow on DC. And all of a sudden, the city was in total gridlock from snow.
thank God the farmers were there.
They plowed the streets. They were clearing the way for emergency vehicles. They were literally transporting people to and from hospitals.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that really swung the public opinion in their favor.
I think that was kind of the straw that broke the back for against the government on there, was because one of the podcasts I actually listened to on it, they were talking about, they said the people were bitching because obviously the traffic was a nightmare because you had all these tractors everywhere. And one guy, somebody apparently threw a goat on the lawn at the White House.
Yeah, I heard that part too.
So there was stuff like, which I had heard that there was people that were even slashing the farmers' tractor tires, which they didn't realize when they did that. Now that tractor was completely immobile and wherever it was at.
Well, one thing government is great at now, and I imagine was then, is controlling the media, and so thereby forming their own narrative, controlling the narrative.
Yep.
And so until people saw no, these are actually good dudes. These are blue collar guys that are literally just trying to do what they love, provide food for the rest of us, and make a living while they do it. But because it goes. Again, I'm old enough. I remember, the whole Waco standoff. And I remember the whole narrative was, the wackos in Waco. That they were totally the bad guys. The government was just there to save the day.
And that anniversary was last week.
Yeah. In all those situations, the government, that they control all the media. And so, I don't doubt that the government or that the farmers were made to look like the assholes in the situation when, now they were just trying to get fair markets.
Well, I love how this came to be. I was going to read this part here. So, American farmers watched $13 billion of ag income disappear in 1977, according to the USDA. By late 70s, all you could do was cover expenses, recalls Center. And he says, you focused on survival and you couldn't think about buying land. Most of us just stood around complaining. Misery loves company, and we'd all talk and talk, which I feel like that's kind of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
But here's it gets pretty interesting here. Or it's funny because this is how it all started. September of 1977 marked the end of talk when 5 farmers changed the trajectory of U.S. ag history and seeded the AAM.
American Agriculture Movement.
Yep. At a gas station diner in Campo, Colorado, a quintet of growers commiserated on their economic troubles, chasing their sorrow with multiple pots of coffee. They were belly aching, says Center, a seminal figure in the founding of AAM. They were letting out a never-ending chain of how are we going to pay our bills, how are we going to see tomorrow. But all of a sudden, a truck driver finished his food and walked over. The trucker looked them in the eye and set them straight. He said, I wish you farmers would stop belly aching and do something. I'm sick of hearing it, and belly aching is all I ever hear from farmers. And they said whoever the trucker was, he was exactly right. And that's pretty much what started the whole thing.
Yeah.
They finally, and we have talked about, I just saw today what is it, like $95 billion or something they just passed to be spread out again. And I commented on the post I saw about it, and I'm like, how does a country that's so deep in debt just keep passing money out everywhere? And it's kind of like, it ain't, at this point, it's not just farmers that I feel like have just kind of been tossed to the wayside as much as just the damn Americans in general. Like, if you are an American, then they're just kind of like piss on you because now we're funding this, we're funding that, we're sending money here, we're sending money there. But it's kind of like everybody here's forgotten. And that's what these guys, they were just like, we're all going broke, all the farmers are falling out. Unfortunately, most of the stuff that they did get passed, it really ended up going to benefit the big operators at the time, and it didn't really help many of the small guys.
Well, and I go back to, again, something Corbett mentioned a couple weeks ago. You think about, you ask the average person, what's the USDA's role? And they're going to tell you, to help, regulate agriculture and make sure the farmers are doing good and be sure we're not, damaging, wetlands or whatever. Maybe that's NRCS, which whatever. No, it's to make food cheap.
Yeah.
Like that's at the end of the day, that's because a country that has cheap food, the people that stay kind of, relatively speaking, fat and happy,
Yep.
we got stupid ass protests going on all over this country for things that people don't even know anything about. But for the most part, like, if people can come home and put food on the table pretty cheap, we're pretty easy to control as a whole. And that's what a lot of these subsidies do. That's government's helping pay for the food, basically.
Yeah.
The farm bill is all food stamps. So that's where, that whole opinion that, I've mentioned all the time that I heard a guy say that our food is too cheap, and I was like, wow, that's a bold thing to say, and definitely an unpopular opinion. If you just mention that to the average American, but I've thought about that a lot since I first heard that 2 or 3 years ago, maybe longer than that. Like, you know what? More and more, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
It's as a percentage of our income, we pay so little for our food, compared to the global standard, and margins. Yeah, a lot of guys don't make it without the subsidies, the government payments, whatever, and that's just telling you that the market's not. It's not a true free market.
No,
at all.
No, it's not. Well, and that's what I mean. I'm to the point with, like, the one thing about this Tractorcade, these guys, like I said, they had a plan and they had a mission. And that's where I see things that I think are an issue. I had a conversation with a guy today from Nebraska. I was on the phone with a dude from Nebraska. We talked for a while, but he's in the farming sector. And we were kind of talking about, like, what are some of the issues we see? And I told him both of our axes to grind. I was like, Bobby Lee, I said, he's kind of got axe to grind. I said, on the cattle side against kind of the big four meat packers. I said, I'm on the row crop side. I said, I feel like there's not much, like, I feel like there's stuff to start farming, but there's not a lot of stuff in that weird area where you're trying to kind of get out of that beginning farmer into growing an operation. I don't feel like there's a lot there. I feel like the big, huge guys are kind of gobbling everything up. So, like, that's kind of our axe to grind. But I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about that. That's one thing. These guys, they, like, had figured out a plan. This is what we want. Like, this is the change we want to see. Because I think about it, I'm like, why can't farmers, when we see the Irish farmers or these other farmers going, spraying shit on the Capitol buildings. I'm like, man, them dudes they're going after it. But I'm like, I don't know what would we be hoping to see change?
Well, and I think we're fortunate that we have not had the extreme, legislation and stuff placed on us, restrictions, whatever. Because I could see I think it could happen, especially nowadays with social media. Again, you see all the stupid ass, like, anti-Israel protest, which, I don't have a dog in that fight. Like, I don't really, I generally, would side with the Israelis and the Jews. But, at the end of the day, I realize I'm not super educated on the issue.
That's how I
what
am.
I saw. But we're protesting over stupid stuff like that. Like I guarantee you, if it started, and that's not farmers protesting by any means, but yeah, if some of this ridiculous, started going through, which you do see in some states, like at the state level, like in Oregon and California, where they're going to stand up, and I don't know. I think you could see that kind of thing again, if things got to that point. But
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be curious to see how it would play out. Which means 5,000 tractors, 5,000 people at this time doing that. That's impressive. And I was looking here on kind of how it all came to a head here. So let's see. I don't remember. Hell, I had read how it ended here.
Well, it was pretty neat how the National Mall and all was demolished because they were there for some of them were there for like 3 months.
Yeah,
5,000 tractors. They plowed it up and reseeded it.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, well, yeah, that only makes sense. Yeah, they're a bunch of farmers.
They fixed everything they tore up.
Yeah,
yeah. It's cool. I encourage you guys. There's actually some little short YouTube videos on it as well. You can just.
Yeah, I was hoping to find like a full-length documentary.
I couldn't find any.
Like a 20, 30-minute deal at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything was just like a couple of minutes. And a lot of them were just pictures of it. It wasn't even any, narration or anything.
Yeah. Well, I can't see the exact. I don't want to be sitting here looking at this article. And I read this article last week, and I've had so many things go through my brain by then that I don't remember exactly how it ended. But
yeah, I encourage you to read it. Go to AgWeb and look up Chris Bennett. And you can search for Tractorcade and the McAllen Bridge protest. It was kind of a wild time, and yeah, again, just my anti-government spin on this. Like, government's always interfering with things, and they're rarely making it better. And
yeah,
I don't know. Those guys just wanted a fair playing field, and
I just still, we've talked about it before. I just still feel like the most fair playing field is to just get the damn government out of the picture.
Yeah. Well, that was their thing. They were bringing in all these crops from Mexico and other places. Same issue we have now, like importing beef from countries that don't have the same standards, allow chemicals and growing practices that are already not legal here, but then weren't even making it clear that this product was coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Part of me says, use, grow GMO crops, you spray Roundup, do whatever you want, and if a consumer doesn't want that, then they'll quit buying it, and you'll be forced to change the way you do things. I mean, you've said
that's
that for
what
everything.
I feel like. Yeah.
Supply and demand, let the market figure it out.
Yep.
If it's not, there's not enough demand for growing, however many millions of acres of soybeans in this country,
then we'll have to change and do something else.
That'll get shifted to something else. It'll, and whatever. And then if that doesn't work out, and we can't feed ourselves. Like I feel like a total free market is a perfect system.
Yeah.
Like, because it sorts itself out. Everything. But we've never been able to have that because everything is so heavily regulated. And I mean, if I want to walk out my backyard, kill a cow, cut it up, and sell some to my neighbors because we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's not any meat at the grocery store, I mean, I could probably do it and get away with it, but that would be illegal.
Well, and that's where I'm like,
which is so damn dumb. Like, because if my neighbors don't want to buy it from me, they don't have to. Nobody's putting a gun to their head and saying, you got to buy this and eat it from him.
Why does the government dictate personal responsibility?
If I do a shitty job of it and meat spoils and people get sick, you know what happens?
They won't be buying from you
People
no more.
quit buying from me. I go out of the beef business. I better learn to do something else, or I starve to death.
Yeah.
Or I get my crap together, get it fixed, start doing better, and people are like, oh, okay, he learned from his mistakes, we can move on.
Yeah.
But no, we got to have, it's all safer because the government's actually watching over us.
Well,
they're so good at everything they do.
That's why it's funny, the government getting out of the picture would help both aspects that we're in, like with the cattle or the row crop. If they got out of the picture, it would help, because like if the free market determined everything, we've had carryover of soybeans or carryover of corn, and so the markets are down, so the government's kind of tinkering with it, trying to do this and that with the markets. If they'd get out of it it would actually become, it would get so much so to the point that it would be unprofitable whatsoever to grow corn or soybeans. And if you're a guy like that's in my shoes, you know, working 1,000 acres, whatever, I could adjust course. I mean, if I had to, I'd cut back and I'd go this produce route. I'd be like, all right, well, let me grow something that is in demand. Yeah. Produce is in demand. I'll go that route. But if you have 20,000 acres, 30,000 acres, you know, you're in trouble. Like, I mean, you can't, if you still tried to grow corn or grow beans on 20,000 acre operation, and the markets are completely down because the market just ain't there, then, you know, let's say, I don't know, say corn went down to like $1.50 a bushel because there was just no market for it anymore, then, you know, those guys would go broke.
Well, and like, I don't know, I feel like, you know, that they would then, I would see the opportunity in, all right, fence off some of that, put it in pasture, still grow your corn,
feed,
because beef still costs. I mean, we're dealing with inflation.
Yeah,
feed that corn. You know, you're better off. You're gonna make more money walking that corn to town than a cow or a pig or a chicken or whatever you want to feed out, and then sell that meat direct to the consumer. Because now the government's out of the way, you don't have to worry about USDA inspection on every single thing you want to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, consumers are paying big money for meat. Yeah, right. You know, it would. You'd go through some
growing pains.
Yeah, the wilderness of those first few years would be pretty dang scary.
You'd see a lot of people go broke.
Oh yeah, well, and
they need to probably.
Harsh, right? It's probably people that shouldn't be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And it, yeah, for maybe even a generation or two, it'd be probably pretty rough going.
Yeah.
But, you know, rather than the government trying to prop everything up like the house of cards, it feels like we have right now where, yeah, I mean, everything, yeah. Anyway, I'm trying not to go on too much. What about Farmer Wants a Wife?
What did the latest Farmer Wants a Wife?
So, they're all down to 2. They all went down to 2, which...
Oh, yeah. Did we not talk about this one yet?
No, because we recorded on Thursday, but it was before that one came out. So,
well, we did have somebody, I guess it was the last episode I read, where people were like, love it, Farmer Wants a Wife. I was talking to my buddy yesterday or day before, I don't know, the other day, and he was like, the podcast got him watching Farmer Wants a Wife.
Oh, yeah. Fox needs to send us a check.
I talked to one of it wasn't Brandon, I talked to another one of the people that's on the show, and I was like, we're pretty much the unofficial podcast of Farmer Wants a Wife, and they were like, y'all pretty much are.
So, well, they I don't know, it's so trying to think. Ty was already down to 2.
Yeah,
so there really wasn't anything that happened with Ty.
Yeah, so you're team Megan with Ty.
Yeah, if I'm making a prediction, I think it's gonna be Megan.
Yeah,
Nathan, he unfortunately what's the girl's name? Madeline?
Oh, yeah, she had to leave.
Is her name Madeline?
I don't know. I know who you're talking about.
The same young
Mackenzie.
lady. Mackenzie, yeah, I know it was an M.
Yeah.
It was an M. I had the first 2 letters right.
Yeah.
But, you know, her dad's had some health issues. Actually pulled her away from the show once earlier and then is pulling her. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I do think Taylor is still the one I would have said for him all along. Anyway.
I think so too, but I will say that Allie chick gained some ground.
Yeah.
I was kind of
dark-headed girl.
Yeah, because I honestly watching it up until that episode, I've been like, why is she here?
But the cynical part of me says the production makes it look like that.
Like she's
because for every one of them, it's like
there's one in particular.
Wait, Mitchell, of course, we've said Sydney all along.
Yeah.
The Kate girl, of course, she pulls like the Hail Mary of like, I want to have kids now.
Yeah.
and then mom loves her.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, last episode she was showing a little cleavage. I was like, man, I don't know. She might be the one.
Yeah, she's on I've seen her on Instagram.
See, I'm not I hadn't gone
on our Talk Dirt to Me Instagram, we got a bunch of the people that are on the show.
She's not currently pregnant, is she?
No.
Because if he would have picked her,
she'd be pregnant immediately.
They finished filming
unless she's
fall.
A liar.
Right. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, it's like, man, like they're planting that. To me, it's like they're trying to just
Create a
they
little
don't want to
doubt
show
in
you
there.
just all the scenes of like him and Sydney like clearly in love, like, oh, there's no drama here.
Yeah. I feel like Brandon and Ty are really the only two that everybody's kind of like, man.
Well, I don't know. I think Mitchell, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he picked Kate at this point.
Really?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I still would say it's gonna be Sydney.
Ah, man, I don't know.
Brandon though, because yeah, Joy just up and left.
Joy was his pick, guarantee you.
Well, I know, and I wasn't sure if he was just saying this for the camera afterwards. He was like, I was looking forward to meeting her family. So he was basically admitting that she was going to be one of my last two.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was Grace or Emerson.
He
that
has
was getting
admitted that it was not going to be Joy. That's all I can say.
cut. Oh, yeah, right.
Like
Well, again, he admitted that on air that he was looking forward to meeting her family.
he may have said who he was going to send home.
Oh, okay. Well, I would still, I don't know, with him, I would still stick with Emerson. That they certainly make it look that way. Yeah, I don't know if I had a gun to my head, my predictions would be, yeah, Emerson for Brandon, Megan for Ty, Sydney for Mitchell,
Yeah.
and Taylor for Nathan. But yeah, I don't know. There'll be a surprise. Part of me wonders, like with Brandon's, because they showed like the preview of them like going ahead. Like, wonder if he like somehow ends up back with Reba.
I don't know. Well, I don't know because did you see they're gonna do an after the show, like a reunion, and Reba's gonna be there, and she
Well, I
looked
saw-
mad as hell.
Well, and I think they even asked her to like, so, because she kind of what got her kicked off was she was causing so much drama with
Calling Joy fake.
and then Joy like kind of like yeah, I think Brandon was. Of course, he would say, I don't know that he was more hurt or if he was like pissed. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, damn, it was. I don't know. I can't put myself.
He's
in their
made
shoes.
some
I've never-
memes about it now. Have you seen his memes?
I follow him. I see most of what he does, but I don't know if I'm
On TikTok, he put up a meme, and it's like
I'm
when
not
you
on the TikTok.
yeah, it's like when you give a girl a second chance and then she just chooses to leave. And like he had some
Yeah.
music or something playing to it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I told him that I was like, man, after that episode aired, I was like, dude, I was glad she was gone. I was like, man, she just seemed fake as hell. And I said, I never said anything because you seemed like you were really into her. And he was like, well, everybody keeps saying that she seemed fake. I'm like,
Well, she even
Yeah.
like even like her smile was almost like
too much, man. It's too much.
It was like, I mean, pretty. She's beautiful, but it's just like, man, it was almost like, yeah, like she was
Too
almost like
made
a Barbie
up.
doll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
She
it fit kind of her persona too.
she was the least compatible for the farm of those three.
I think probably so. Yeah.
Like Grace is not. If there was a compatibility aspect, Emerson is the most compatible. She has an ag background. Grace, I love Grace, man. Like she's like the sweetest chick. Like that's what before Emerson came around. Like I was like pulling for Grace because I'm like she seems super sweet, super nice. So I was like, that's who Brandon ought to end up with. And then Emerson came around. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And so I'm really torn.
Wow.
I don't know.
I don't know. I get irritated. Like I got mad. Of course, last season, none of them end up together.
I got a feeling it's going to freaking happen again.
I do too. But the only one by the time the finale aired, like when you went like fast forwarded to like where are they now? The only couple that was still together was Hunter and Megan.
Yeah.
And then they didn't last, but it was all because she didn't want to move to the farm. And I was like, did you not read the whole premise for the freaking show? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not advocating for violence against anyone, especially a woman, but it's just like, are you, what's your deal? Like,
Yeah, that's kind of the point here.
like that was the whole idea of the whole damn show is these poor lonely dudes are out here on the farm. I need a woman to come live with them and marry them. You fall in love, supposedly y'all date for like 6 months. You're like, nope, not going to move the farm after all. Like,
All right, see, so
if you're not compatible, whatever, you're not compatible. But damn it, don't let that be the thing.
you got to give some creed or credence, whatever, to old girl that I was pulling for with Alan. Kelsey, because that's chick. She is the only one out of season 1. She straight up moved from Georgia to Tennessee to be with Alan.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened there. I've heard speculation, but and then they don't end up together. But I'm like,
Well, the crazy thing about Megan, as we're sitting here speaking, she got married today. I don't even know when that show ended, but it wasn't even a year ago.
No, she didn't. Yeah, she did not waste time.
Yeah, she met somebody else and got married. I'm like, oh, good. Hey, I
guess when you know, you know.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. I wanted to strangle her. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that is about the worst reason.
Like I thought I could believe in love again. But anyway, all right. So we got 2 more episodes.
Yep.
They're meeting the parents. Well, by the time this podcast episode drops, that episode will have already gone. We're recording a night early.
We're going to have one of the ladies on the show.
I believe I have at least one.
Yep.
And so then next week will be the finale, but we won't be able to talk about it till the week after because the finale, it airs on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah.
When we're recording.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's right. Next week. Wow, man.
Unless we wanted to watch the finale.
On air.
Yeah, while we're sitting here.
That'd be funny to like have a reaction to the finale.
I don't know.
We could do it.
I don't know how that would work.
I feel like it'd be a lot of like just dead air.
Us just sitting here silent.
Yes.
It'd be a lot of editing for you to cut out all.
We could do. We actually
and
could.
If we showed any of it, like Fox we'd get in trouble for copyrights.
We could do a live watch party though. Like we could do it live and not make it the podcast.
We might have to give up our man cards if we.
Dude, that hey, y'all got until next week. If y'all want us to do a live watch party of the finale, I don't have to figure out how to do that. I guess you do it on like YouTube.
Yeah, we do a YouTube live.
Yeah, and everybody.
I've never done one, but I guess that's what you would do.
I hadn't either.
Can you just set the camera up over there?
Or I have done one. Yeah.
Can we watch it out here?
Yeah. Yeah, we can put it right there.
I can bring my kids with me. They would love it. They watch it with me anyway.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. We could put it on TV right up there. Yeah, y'all could watch it with us. Get our reactions right then.
Yeah, raw, unfiltered, unedited reaction.
That would be pretty comical. If y'all want that, we need to know. If we don't get feedback on it, we're not going to waste our time.
Next Thursday night does it come on at 8?
I think 8 o'clock. I always watch it later.
Yeah, I was about to say I never watch it live. So
2 in the morning when it comes out.
I don't know.
I watch it the next day usually.
I'm usually watching it like on Sunday afternoon. I was wondering if we have a T-ball game next Thursday.
Probably in like Atlanta.
No, not T-ball. Although we did have to go to Covington to play the other night.
Wow.
Like there's so few teams in Covington
that y'all had to go out there.
We go up there. Well, just to help them out. But if we do play T-ball, it'll be over with. We're done by like 7:15. So
gotcha. I was gonna look real quick at something before if this would be my company, but I gotta see the name here. I think it's made in USA. Let me check. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, I don't know. I'm anxious to see how this all plays out. Okay. No. All right. Can't do that one. Do you got the company? I'm gonna have to start writing them down.
Yeah, I can.
I'm terrible about not writing them down.
I have a list of a few.
I haven't wrote them down, so I have none off the top of my head.
I'll decide. I'm gonna.
And I see a bunch. That's what frustrates me. I'll like be randomly using something, and I'll just happen to look at it, and it'll be like made in USA.
That's why I got this running like notes list that I keep on my phone, just because. Yeah, I never know, and I've got notes on all kinds of stupid stuff. Like
I do a ton of notes.
Let me start off with 2 words: made in America.
Pause.
Man, he did that. Like I was like, holy hell! Like people don't even like. Yeah.
It's the president.
Yeah, I mean, it's Joe Biden. Yeah, we know he has dementia. You're like, what does that really matter? I mean, the president's just a figurehead.
He's
anyway.
just the commander in chief.
Like, they don't really make the decision. Like they make. I'm like, oh my god! Like it's such a. What's really sad and also kind of funny because it's true is it's I don't know if it's like a true news show, but it was on Australian TV where they like just totally just clown on our president.
Really?
Like, and it's like, yeah, this is what other countries think of. Like, they're just like, he has no clue. They're like, and they're pointing out, because it must be like a legit news, like they're more critical of our president than our own press.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
But I'm going to do one, actually, a product I use almost every day. You ever heard of the sticky holster?
Not until you told me about it.
Yep. So
Because you can tuck your shirt in.
yes, so they're it's basically like an inside the waistband gun holster. I've used a bunch of different kinds, and there's a lot of other ones that are made in the USA. But this basically it's just like a little sleeve, essentially. I don't know if that's a good way to describe it. Gun goes in, trigger's guarded and everything, but it's made out of it's not really sticky material, but it's very grippy.
Yeah.
So if you put it inside your waistband, like, it does not move, but there's no clips or anything, so you can tuck over it. It stays in place. Like, I have no trouble. You go to draw because the material, like, it doesn't come out. Like, I've really gotten to the point where I'm like, I think that's the only inside the waistband holster
That you're going to use?
If I'm carrying inside the waistband, and they are made in USA, they make them, a lot of them, because it's not like it's a soft holster, and so, they make all sorts of different sizes, but you don't have to have your exact, gun model. It's
Which they got a bunch that'll fit in here. I see, they got like a large, medium, large, and they got on their website here, they got for the Glocks.
yeah.
Let's see.
And because you don't have to have 6,000 different versions of it. I bought mine here locally at our local gun shop.
Okay.
Because I was in there, I was like, oh, yep. Of course, on the back it lists like the 85 models that'll fit. That one, like, yeah.
And it's not bad. $30.
No, not cheap at all. They, which of course any holster, anything like that you wear, like, it gets a lot of wear.
Yeah.
And I've had one where it starts to wear thin. Like at the end of the barrel, whatever. But I mean, they're cheap enough. They're super lightweight, very comfortable. You can carry, whatever position you want to with it. But yeah, made in USA. That's the important part.
There you go. Sticky holster. Check them out. And while you're doing that, check out agzaga.com. Get you some good products. Get you some commodity jugs or some hitch pins or whatever you need. Use that code.
Again, if you hadn't ordered it, you got plenty of time because it does ship fast. But go ahead and order it before they run out. I don't know if they'll ever run out, but get your free American flag to come with it. That Talk Dirt discount code, 10% off. Get your free shipping.
Yep, all caps, all one word.
Do it. There's no reason not to.
Comment below. Let us know. What do we tell them to let us know?
Well, we need to know about, do you want a live stream?
That's right.
Or a live watch party for next week? But more importantly, what do we want our giveaway prize to be?
Yeah, giveaway prize, and do you want a live stream?
You just want some junk, or do you want the experience?
That's right. You want to hang with the boys. So, guys, let us know. Comment on YouTube. Shoot us an email. Comment on Spotify. I do check even the Spotify ones. There's not really a way to respond. Actually, real quick, I need to pull that up because I'm glad I said that. I'm pretty sure there was one on Spotify.
If you want to interact with us, because you can't really comment and respond like on iTunes or Apple Podcast or whatever. We're both fairly active on Instagram. I'm not really anywhere else. I check out Twitter every now and then. X.
Instagram is where I'm the most for sure.
And I understand if you're like me, you're like, no, I don't have that at social media. I'm not going to download another one. I respect you for that. But if you are on Instagram, you can follow the show. You can follow Logan and I individually. You're LH Farms.
On Instagram, it's at lo.hanks.
Okay, and I'm Hurricane Creek Farm. And then, of course, if you follow the show shares enough of our other stuff, you'll see it. But Talk Dirt Podcast on Instagram,
Yep.
Yeah, you can message us on there, interact. We've actually got a lot of you that I've gotten to be. I mean, I've never met a lot of them in real life, but they're social media friends because they send me memes and back and forth, and we interact, and they ask me questions and whatnot, and we have a good old time.
Here you go. We'll close out with this right here. Here you go.
I respect you so much as a person. But the letter from Jennifer came in today. And it really put things into perspective for me.
Just that look on his face. He's wanting to
choke her out right now.
And kind of where my head is.
Why is her nose so
Brandon's
red?
way too nice to do that, but
Why is her nose so red? Is she doing blow?
I don't know. If he wasn't such a nice guy, he would be thinking, I'm
my
gonna.
family, and it was
Yeah,
somebody
choke
that
you
I
out.
was completely in love with.
See how much fun we could have doing a live. We'd be
I
like
don't
Mystery
know
Science
if
Theater.
right
Did you ever
now
watch that?
I'm ready for that step.
I'm a little bit afraid none of them want to come on the show.
Did you
No,
ever?
and I mean, I can't imagine how
Terrible.
weird
Yeah,
that
it'd be
is.
a weird
And like, yeah, if
experience.
you're there and all of a sudden you realize this ain't the dude for me, then hey, I'd rather than drag him to Jacksonville and all that. But it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, at that point, come on.
Yeah, I'm just about convinced that by the time they do like the reunion show, none of them are going to be with their.
I got a feeling that that's going to be the case. And I think she does cocaine. Do you see the red? Did you see it? What I was talking about?
I don't know. I don't know that.
Look at that right there. She's doing some toot.
Dude, I bet my nose is red right now.
Well,
Because
you got something you need to tell us?
yeah.
Look, Brandon's nose is not red.
I have horrendous allergies, and it's spring. Although they were filming this in the fall, and I would imagine there where they are, it's very dry and desert.
That's what I'm saying.
I bet
See?
they don't have a lot of allergies.
I'll have to. We'll ask Brandon. Brandon is game to come back on the show. We're as much as it would be awesome to get the guy here in person. He lives almost in a place where people don't know what airplanes are, so he probably is just going to have to do it remotely again.
Yeah, well, we need, if he's just ever in this part of the country, even if it's 2 years from now, we need to have him by. But anyway,
We do. So,
all right.
guys, comment, leave us a rating and a review, and soon we'll have the giveaway up and rolling, and be able to hook you up. See y'all next week.